progressive industrial revolution in the economies of the Western world led to the discovery of many natural resources on the African continent, mining among them. At Broken Hill in northern Rhodesia, Kabwe and Zambia now began commercially in 1906 with the discovery of vast deposits of silver, lead and zinc. It is here that the discovery of the Broken Hill Man, or Kabwe Man, was made in 1921 and also played a role in the history of the mine. These mines were powered by electricity, which at the time was only coal-fired, but required consistent electricity supply. Owners of these mines then surveyed and discovered landscapes close by with depths and massive water proximity that could be used to generate hydropower. This gave birth to Mulungushi and later Lunsemfo hydropower stations in 1925.
Mining were some of the activities that inspired the production of electricity in northern Rhodesia, Zambia today. And it were minerals such as zinc and lead, which were used mostly in industry or production of industrial equipment that were being mined in Broken Hill, which is Kabwe today. And not very far from where this mine was, identified an area where hydroelectricity could be produced in order for these mines to operate.
There was a Kabwe mine in the colonial times. So in those days, most of the plants in Zambia were thermal, they were coal-fired. For Kabwe mine, because of the proximity to the rivers, it was thought that a hydro scheme could be built to power the mine. So the power plant was primarily built to power Kabwe mine. Beginning somewhere in the early 1900s, I think the power station at Mulungushi was established. Initially started with about 2.5 megawatts. But over the years, the capacity was increased from 2.5 to about 15 megawatts. And then eventually, around 1941, they commissioned the fourth machine, which brought the total capacity to about just 20 megawatts or so. During that period, the mining activity was booming, and there was need for more power for the operations of the mine. And that's how the second power station was established. And eventually, two transmission lines were also constructed to bring power into the mining plant.
Kabwe Mine operated consistently under the Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine ZCCM until the time of privatization in Zambia during the second half of the 90s and early 2000. It was during this period that an enterprise called Lunsemfo Hydropower Company, supported by Wonder Gorge and No Fund, came into the picture and took over the running of both Mulungushi and Lunsemfo hydropower stations to date. This, in the history of Zambia, was the first independent power producer in the country.
Kabwe mine was part of the CCM, including Lunsemfo, Mulungushi and Lunsemfo schemes. So then, I think in 1997, under the MMD government, there was a dismantling of the CCM to privatize it. So it was not privatized as a single unit. They privatized it in various mining houses. So Kabwe mine was privatized separately, and Lunsemfo was also privatized separately from the mine. So that's how Zambians took up the initiative and bought off the company from ZCCM.
When Lunsemfo new management or new owners took over, they initially invested quite a lot of money into ensuring that they recapitalize the assets through various rehabilitations, and soon after that, then they went into some expansion. So you notice that the first 5 to 7 years or so was mainly to ensure that they conduct a lot of refurbishment and rehabilitation, which actually helped to restore the full installed capacity of the assets. So I would say that after a good 5 to 7 years or so, the plants were able to produce up to its installed capacity.
Behind me is the Lana-Johnson valve. You see how old it looks, decommissioned after working for 100 years.
Despite the strength and durability of this heavyweight, the Lana-Johnson valve is among changes that has been made at LHPC in its engineering and optimization program to improve efficiency on water utilization. This is in pursuit of expansions for 24/7 dispatchable power and increase in electricity supply.
The optimization projects that we are trying to do is to improve water utilization efficiency. What has happened is that with the climate change, the water resource is basically diminishing. We are not the only users of the water. There are a lot of other users of this water. We have communities, we have the commercial farmers, we also have ourselves as hydro. So to address this water issue, we embarked on the optimization projects. Early this year, we changed what we call the Lana-Johnson valve. It was a 100-year-old valve. We changed it to a modern one. This modern one now can operate electrically, and so we are able to operate it more efficiently than we used to. We also have other projects like raising of the diversion dams so that we can hold more water. Because what happens is if the diversion dam is small, when you have flash floods, you tend to spill the water. So you lose that water instead of using it to generate power. So we're expanding those things to hold a bit more water. But we've also embarked on a 20 megawatt solar project. It's a trial project. It's going to work with the hydro, in conjunction with the hydro, and we'll be using it as a means to save the water. So that project we expect commissioning by end of this year. Now we also have a project which we call the Upper Lucenfo project. That's a 270 megawatts opportunity that we want to explore. It's a hydro, but to manage the water resource, it would have to come with a large solar plant as well, so that then you could operate it with the in hybrid mode with the solar plant. Our main business is baseload to customers. So what I mean by baseload is 24/7 dispatchable power.
The Muchinga project sits on the Lucenfo River, downstream of the existing power plant. It should be about maybe 30 to 40 kilometers on down the river course of the Lucenfo River. It actually sits in the powerhouse is sited right in the heart of the Rwano Valley, and it has a head, what we refer to as a head, that the vertical drop from the plateau onto the valley of about 500 meters. So it's actually this height in the drop that is very important for us, and we are hoping that if we are to develop this kind of a project, we can help into mitigating the current energy crisis that the country is facing right now.
The increase in supply and introduction in the Southern African power pool has opened opportunities for Lucenfo hydropower to buy and sell power on a power pool that permits for many buyers. Furthermore, this allows for the growth of LHPC in its contribution to Zambia's GDP and employment creation.
Our contribution at the moment is 56 megawatts, but then we are connected to the national grid, and by connection to the national grid, we are connected to the Southern Africa Power Pool. We are a member of the Southern Africa Power Pool. We are able to sell power on the pool, but also buy from the pool. Our contribution to the national grid, I can say it's in twofold. One is the power that we generate, because when we inject it into the grid, that power is consumed, but also it helps to stabilize the voltages in the region here around Central Province. But also, because we are a member of the Southern Africa Power Pool, we also import power from the market into the country. So we do help with the energy needs of the country by way of generation as well as imports from the Southern Africa Power Pool. In Zambia, we had what we call a single buyer model. Now, the market has been opened up now. You can sell to as many as you want. So right now we are selling power to ZESCO, we are selling power to N-Power, we are selling power to Copperbelt Energy, we are selling power to the Southern Africa Power Pool. So meaning that now that risk of a single buyer has been diluted now. Now we can access finance for our expansion projects. The main issue we have to deal with now is the water resource. That's where the risk is now.
It's good that the open access market has been introduced, has been launched, and we are hoping that with the coming on open access, we will then be able to have what are called spot markets, where if I've got some power right now and I want to sell in the next 2-3 hours, I can easily put that power on the market and someone can be able to pick up that power and sell and buy.
Climate change, mainly affecting consistent rainfall patterns, triggered by deforestation in catchment areas, increase in new dam formations and rivers being obstructed indiscriminately on the upstream of Mulungushi and Lunsefwa rivers are among some of the major challenges faced by the two hydropower stations, and consequently, reduction in electricity production.
When rivers are flowing and people are abstracting water from the rivers, that's not a problem. The problem is when the river is dammed. When the river is dammed, you've completely blocked the flow of water. The only time that river will flow is when the dam spills over. Okay, so we've got old dams that because of the water amount that is there, they are not a concern. Some of them they spill, some of them, those are not concerned. The issue is when the new dams are coming on the same rivers. We can get to a point where the rivers completely stop flowing and we can actually create a desert there. Yeah, so this is where when the assessment is done and it is determined that this catchment is exhausted, then we have to cease issuing permits to new developments.
The dam has not been able to fill up in the past, I think, I would say almost 10 years because of the way the headwaters have been managed in the catchment. I think over the years we have actually spent quite a lot of money trying to do some hydrological assessment in the catchment, and what we realize is that this catchment has been overstressed.
Power generation is non-consumptive. You don't really use the water just passes through. It's different from when you are irrigating. When you are irrigating, the ground absorbs the water. It doesn't continue to flow into the river. But with hydro, the water just passes through, meaning that you could actually do farming downstream of the power plants.
Lunsefwa Hydropower Company is now set on an aggressive growth path into the future aimed at increasing electricity supply with more power production projects.
We are actually taking a very aggressive growth path supported by Wonder Gorge and Norfund. One of the key projects that we want to do is the over 200 megawatts Mchinga scheme. We think that will be a big game changer, and I think that it will be a big contribution not just to Zambia but to the region as well.